Hi, my name is Dina, and I'm doing this video because I have to give a shout out to Megyn as well as Gretchen. I have to say thank you so very much for doing the 2020 show tonight, and also Megyn for doing the other show with Dr. Phil. Thank you very much for speaking up about sexual harassment and sexual assault. I, too, have been sexually harassed and assaulted on the job. 22 years ago, I worked at a restaurant. I started out as a cook and worked my way up as to a shift manager's position. And the second job, I worked in a construction field as a seal coater, where we did parking lots and things and driveways. And I loved both my jobs. And I worked very hard at what I did, and I never missed a day. I worked day in and day out. I did my best. I was always willing to go the extra mile and work extra hard to learn more and more and to grow within the company as much as I could, because I just loved my job. And I loved the companies I worked for back then. And because I was also a single mother, so I had to work very hard to support my children. And my children meant everything to me, so I worked very hard to take care of them and to have what we had and to do what we needed to do. However, 22 years ago, I was being sexually harassed and sexually assaulted by my boss at the restaurant. And I wasn't liking it at all. So one day I decided to, after a lot of crying and going home scared and confused and unsure, I decided to go and get a tape recorder, and I brought it to work and confronted my boss about it because he wasn't taking no for an answer. And so I confronted him, and I taped the conversation, and he admitted to the sexual harassment and the assaulting, and said he was sorry, that it was not right of him to do, it wasn't fair of him to do, and that, but it still didn't help him saying that, because the damage was already done. He really hurt me. It was very painful, and it was never going to be the same again. My job was never going to be the same again. Being around him wasn't going to be the same again. I did go to the district manager with the tape, and he really wanted it to be a hush-hush inside the company, and he did say that it wasn't going to do any good to have anybody else know about it. And back then I was still pretty young, so I really didn't understand what was, happening, to me legal-wise. I did call attorneys, quite a bit of attorneys, and didn't get anywhere. Nobody was giving me the time of day, and they kept saying, it's he said, she said, and there's a statute of limitation, and there are rules and regulations and things that have to be taken into consideration, and I even told them I have a tape recorded conversation, and they said that's not able to be used in court, but we can listen to it. But other than that, there's probably nothing we're going to be able to do, because these cases are really hard to prove. I said, but you have no idea what this is like for me. I'm a single mom trying to take care of my children. I've been working for this restaurant for 5 years. This is a company that I've been working really hard at. I have had no high school diploma, and I started out as a cook, and went up to being a cook and a waitress, and I made it up to a shift manager's position. I worked really hard and put in a lot of overtime and did a lot of things to learn what I needed to do the job, what was expected of me, and to be a team player. And it just didn't seem to matter to anybody that I was struggling and hurting and scared and frustrated and fearful and ashamed and confused and lost. And I had nobody to turn to, and it was really, everything was falling apart. And then with the construction one, it was same thing, and statute of limitations, and I was getting, a card here, flowers there, sexually harassed and assaulted on the job. There were occasions where I'd run into the bathroom, wherever our job was at, rather it was a parking lot out of a company that we were seal coating, or somebody's driveway. If there was a gas station, I'd run in there, cry a little, and then come back out and get the job done. Or there was somebody's home, I'd run into, knock on their door, and I'd run and ask to use their restroom. I'd cry in their bathroom, and, I'd get frustrated and cover my mouth with tissue and just scream in it and get angry because it's like, but I have children to take care of, and you pull yourself together, and I'd be telling my coworkers, no, this is not acceptable, this is unacceptable, I'm here to do a job, I've got children to take care of, and I was just going through so much with both of these jobs at the time. One was back in 2000, and it was going on for a couple months. That was the construction one, and then the other one was back in 1994, 95, and it was just it was horrible, and so I have to say to Gretchen and Megyn, thank you so much for speaking out. This has been long overdue for me. I have gone through counseling. I have talked about this with my counselors that I have had through the years. I have talked a lot about it with my counselors. I have tried to deal with this. But this is something that is so painful and hurtful, and still pains me to this day, 16 years later, 22 years later. When I confronted Matthew at the restaurant I worked at, I did record the conversation, so I do have proof that it happened to me, but the attorneys still didn't matter. And I still have that tape-recorded conversation still to this day. But of course, statute of limitations, I understand that stuff, But even back then, it still wasn't good enough. Nothing was good enough. No proof was good enough. Nothing was good enough. I still lost my job with the restaurant. It was so uncomfortable day in and day out. It was hard to work there. It was so uncomfortable, and to be gawked at and looked at and talked about and shamed and making my job harder and everything because I opened my mouth and said something, and then the construction job, I was told to either quit or I was going to be fired because they couldn't afford to let the other person, the man, Jeff, leave, or they couldn't afford to let Jeff go because he had more experience and many more years there. So it's frustrating for me. God, I'm just angry still to this day. It's still unfair because that so much was taken away. So much was taken away from me and my children. I was a single mom taking care of my children. That's all I was doing. That's all I was doing. So I'm doing this video to tell you, people out there, you have no right to sexually assault anybody. You have no right to sexually harass anybody. We're there to do a job. We're there to take care of our children, our families, to do a job and get it done. We're not there to please you, to make you happy in any sexual way. That is not our job. That's not in the job description. It's not in yours either. You have no right to take our self-worth away, our dignity away. You have no right. So with this video, please share this video and let's speak up. Let's work together to support one another and break the silence. Let's work together and stop sexual harassment and stop sexual assault in the workplace for all men and women. I am saying this, and I'm saying thank you to Gretchen, and I'm saying thank you to Megyn. And I hope and pray that someday I can meet you two ladies and say thank you in person for helping me to break the silence in my heart and my soul, to be able to do this video and say, I too have been sexually harassed and sexually assaulted in the workplace. And I've been carrying this for 16 years and 22 years, from a construction site and a restaurant. And I lost so much, and my children lost so much. I am a survivor. It still is very painful. I still tear up. I'm still hurt and angry and frustrated. I still have sorrow within my heart and soul. But I am a survivor. I am a fighter. I have graduated college in 2014. I have put a lot of work into my life. So much has been taken from me, but all these years I've been fighting and working harder and harder to get to where I am today. And I say thank you very much, though, for helping me to break my silence and say I, too, have been sexually harassed and assaulted in the workplace. And I'm here to speak up for myself and for you, anyone else that has gone through this. Please share your story along with me and anyone else, including Gretchen and Megyn. And together we can work together to break the silence, the stigma, and to prevent it from happening to our children, our sisters, our brothers, cousins, everybody, our friends, neighbors, our co-workers. Peace and love. Thanks for watching my video. Please don't judge me, but help support me and understand that I'm breaking my silence. And I hope you too can do the same, because you're not alone. We're in this together. Together, we could support one another, break the silence, and prevent this from happening to anyone else. Peace and love.